And my name is Nilay Bicakcioglu-Peynirci. I am the course director of MSc Strategic Marketing course. And I am super happy to co-host this webinar with Pinar who is the course director for MSc Marketing and Consumer Psychology program.
Hello there. Hiya.
And we have also our guest speakers today with us and our student reps with us, thanks to them. And also we have one alumna. She's also with us today, and thank you so much to them as well for joining to the session. Hope that you will enjoy the session today. And let me first start with my program, and then I'm going to hand over to Pinar to talk about her program as well. And okay, let's start. And why you should study MSc Strategic Marketing. As we are all living in a rapidly shifting environment and evolving digital landscape and the shifting consumer preferences, and organizations also face a much more competition than ever right now, and that also makes them need professional marketers who can interpret complicated databases and make the big data analysis and make the right strategic marketing decisions, and how it is going to help and shape your career if you come and study this program. And I will mention several career options today, but let me first start to elaborate that this program is accredited by CIM. What is CIM? It is the Chartered Institute of Marketing, and it is a well-established and leading world marketing institution. And so, when you graduate, you will have a chance to have the global recognition within the marketing industry. That will be a very good addition for your CVs. And but also another important consideration, I guess, one of the things that at the top of your mind, many of you, and who should take this course. And there could be two scenarios, I guess. And one scenario could be like maybe you have been graduated from business or management degree and you already work in a business related role, maybe in your professional career, or and now you would like to focus more on marketing. That could be the one case. Or maybe that could be another scenario like you have been graduated in a subject area which is quite different than marketing, like English, history, geography, development studies, sociology. And now you would like to explore some options and gain the skills for a career in marketing, advertising, or brand management. And or maybe even you would like to set up your own business right now. And for both scenarios, you can think that it's the right fit for you to study at MSc Strategic Marketing program. Sorry, I need to hide the bar. And so you might have some questions in your mind that if you do not have the prior knowledge and prior experience in marketing, and would it be enough for you when you graduate? And the answer is yes here, because how we teach is in each of our modules is that in the earlier weeks, we always put emphasis on providing the foundational knowledge, and in the later weeks, we build upon this foundational knowledge and go for the advanced topics later on. So it is definitely that you will have the essential skills, the core skills, what you are going to need when you graduate from our program. Don't worry about it. And let me continue. And you will be also taught by leading marketing experts. And I am really proud to mention this, especially because please have a look at our module conveners, our tutors, and you will also notice that how such kind of expertise they have in different areas, such as brand authenticity, AI in marketing, technological innovation, international marketing, and you will notice that a variety of expertise we have in our module conveners. And what we always try to do also in our lectures and workshops, we try to provide all the academic theory, but we also would like to link the gap, provide the linkage with the practical relevance through the real world applications. Um, that's why we thought that it will be a very good one for you. And what you are going to learn then, here is our modules. And basically in the first semester, you will have the 5 core modules: buyer behavior, design thinking for innovative problem solving, and marketing management in a global context, marketing ethics and sustainability, and marketing research. That's the semester 1. And if you look at the semester 2, you will have 2 core modules: strategic brand management and marketing strategy. And you will have a chance also to choose your 3 of the optional modules from a list of pool that I'm going to show you in a minute. And in the summer term, you will be just focusing on your dissertation research project. And from the optional module pool, you can also see that out of 7, you are going to choose 3 of them. One of the most popular ones: advanced marketing analytics, B2B, consumer-centric innovation, and digital marketing. And yeah, in summary, what you are going to learn is you will be taught by the innovative evidence-based techniques and sustainable practices in this program, and you will have a lot of chance to explore several theories, concepts, models, and techniques. And so it means that you will be developing all the essential skills you will need when you graduate from this program. And not always, of course, we do the boring stuff, and we also try to enjoy. And our student reps help us to organize some social events as well. This is now kind of traditional for us, International Food Day. Each year we try to organize it. And actually today we have the second one. And our guest speaker, Asif, our student rep, is also here and helping to organize this event today. And what we do in this, it's kind of actually opportunity for our students where they celebrate their cultural diversity through bringing national foods, wearing their traditional clothes, and playing games and dancing with the music. And yeah, kind of fun we are having as well. And also, we try to strongly encourage our students to participate in some competitions and also case studies. And our role as lecturers actually to support and mentoring when they have an idea and to go for these competitions. And actually, CIM also every year they organize a competition. And this year's case was related to IBM, and they had a challenge, and some group of students also trying to solve the challenge, and we are trying our best to support them, but they are already really good actually. Okay, and lastly, the career options. In marketing, in strategic marketing program and all the sub areas of marketing, you can think of a different career options for you when you graduate, like the advertising or brand or product management, digital marketing, international marketing, market research, or sales management, or market consultancies. All of each actually are viable options for you when you graduate and when you look for jobs. And when we look at the entry requirements of this program, and please have a look at our website also for more detailed information. But basically, we have 2 requirements: English language requirement and degree requirement. But we do not have this subject-specific requirement, as I mentioned earlier. And that's something good, I guess. And application deadlines are critical. Please do not miss them. 1st of August for international students and 1st of September for the UK students. And now I'm going to hand over Pinar for her program.
Kiddo, microphone on. Right, so before I kind of go into why this course is a great pick specifically, let's just talk a little bit about why studying marketing together with consumer psychology is actually a very smart move, right? If you've dabbled in marketing in any capacity, either in your studies or in a more kind of professional, in your professional life, you will know that marketing isn't just about coming up with creative ideas or high level strategies, right? It's you know, about influencing decisions. Decisions are made by people who, let's face it, don't always behave rationally or predictably. So the challenge here is understanding why people behave the way they do. So what drives their choices, how they respond to messaging, what influences their decisions, and so on. And that's where consumer psychology comes in, because it helps explain the why behind behavior, things like emotion, things like perception, bias, decision making, all of those things. And when you combine marketing and psychology, what happens is that you move from simply applying tools to using them more intelligently and strategically, because you really understand how they influence and even shape behavior. For example, take branding and advertising, right? It's not just about messaging, it's about emotional response, it's about trust, it's about connection. All of those things happen in the mind of consumers. Digital marketing isn't just about campaigns and clicks, right? It's about understanding behavior again, from engagement to people abandoning carts, or just the actual user experience itself. So what happens when you combine marketing and psychology? You learn how to understand audiences, you learn how to diagnose problems in a much more sort of specific and fine-grained way. And you also are able to adapt strategy based on real behavior rather than just learning what generally tends to work, which is precisely what employers are increasingly looking for right now. People who can combine execution with genuine evidence-based insight and strategic thinking. And this is reflected in how this MSc is designed, right? First up, it's very much career focused. So you will build analytical and research skills that are rooted in consumer psychology. So not just learning theories, but learning how to use data and insights to inform real marketing decisions. Second, this is a really cool one actually. This is one of the very, very few MSCs in the UK that's genuinely designed around integrating marketing and consumer psychology from the get-go. So it's not a setup where consumer psychologists sort of, tacked onto marketing. So rather than studying them as separate or loosely connected areas, you are constantly linking consumer understanding with marketing application. And one of the things that really helps with the second point is that the course is actually a joint effort by the business school, specifically us at Strategy and Marketing, and our colleagues at the School of Psychology. So we've got proper psychologists, on board with us. Finally, the course is research-led, but with a strong focus on real-world relevance. We'll kind of talk a bit more about that later. So you'll be learning from academics both across both the business school and the School of Psychology, who are actually active researchers in the areas they teach, and applying those insights to current marketing and consumer issues. So overall, what the course offers is that you develop a skill set that's complete, multifaceted, and one that is very much in demand, one that combines insight, analysis, and strategic thinking. So all that is very nice, but then I guess, one question that people always have in the back of their mind is, well, that's all, is this course actually the right fit for me? What we've seen is, from previous cohorts, is that there really isn't just one single profile. So for some of you, you might already come from a background in business or psychology, or you might already be working in marketing or a related field. So in this case, this course, it will be really good for helping you deepen your expertise and introduce a new layer to it. For some of you, you might be coming from a completely different subject area, but now you are thinking about moving into marketing, branding, or consumer research, for example, or even starting your own business, really, right? And you'll be right at home in this course again, because we don't no prior marketing or psychology experience is required. As you'll see in a bit, the course is structured to give you the core skills early on. So when it comes to the layering, applications, deepening, you'll be more than comfortable. But what matters most, really, when we get back to the question, is this course actually the right fit for me, is curiosity about people. If you are interested in how people think, how they decide, and how all of that links to business, specifically marketing, yeah, well, this might be the one for you. So what will you actually sort of learn as far as the different modules that we have and as far as the course, how the course is structured? So just like the strategic marketing course, three semesters. So what we do in sort of autumn is that we start by building the key foundation. So essentially the structure is designed to take you from building core knowledge through to deepening and applying it, and ultimately producing your own independent piece of research. And what kind of throughout the whole process, what sort of defines the course is this constant link between psychology and marketing. And because again, it's being taught by the two schools, you are benefiting firsthand from the expertise of two different disciplines. So autumn term is where you start building the key foundations. You learn all the theories, concepts, models, all that good stuff that explain how marketing works and how consumers make decisions. All of that kind of stuff gives you a really good sort of framework for thinking more strategically about what's happening in the market and why. Alongside that, so in the modules in italics, in classic and contemporary social psychology and research skills in psychology, you are already starting to explore consumer behavior through psychology, which kind of really helps you go beyond observation to understanding the process behind decision making, what influences decisions, what influences people, and why behavior is often less rational than we often assume. As the course develops, you kind of start to bring these two perspectives together. And in the spring term, this is where you really start to apply and deepen your core knowledge. For example, by modules like strategic brand management and contemporary consumer research applications, which kind of build directly on the previous semester's bias behavior module, for example. There is also a really cool module called applying psychology in business context, which kind of brings the two disciplines together in a really practical way that sort of exposes you to the diversity, the sheer range really of business contexts where psychology is super helpful in understanding what's actually going on. In the spring term, there's also, you also choose one optional module. All the stuff that I talked about so far, all the stuff without any asterisks next to them are all core modules. In the spring semester, you choose one core module from the three options. So you can already start to tailor the course towards your interests or career goals. And finally, the course culminates in your dissertation. The bulk of the work is done in the summer, but there's a little bit of work done in the spring semester as well. Here you choose between two routes. So one of them is led by psychology. The other one is led by the business school. So, depending, so you have that sort of flexibility to choose a topic depending on whether you lean more towards psychology or towards marketing. So that's what the structure looks like. And of course, it's not all just sort of study, or it's not all module. Just like Nilay's course, we also have some sort of fun social events that kind of help build, foster a nice community among the cohorts. This was a picture from last year's group. They went on a really cool picnic in a close by park. Apparently, it was the hottest day of the year so far, so they must have had a really good time. And actually, we are in the process of trying to decide what we'll do for ours this year. So plenty of options. We just can't decide. Okay, so what can you do with this degree, right? What actually we do is we track our graduates and see what they go on to do about 18 months or so after they finish. And what we see that it's really cool to see that the course has actually opened up a range of career paths focused on consumers, data, and evidence-based decision making. We see that a lot of the graduates go into consumer insight and research type roles. Think things like insight executive, research analyst positions, and work with a whole range of organizations. Some of them, the really big guys like Ipsos, Kantar, Mintel. We see that others, quite a few go into more data-driven marketing kind of direction, where they use analytics to understand consumers and optimize performance. Some we see go into kind of more broader marketing and brand roles where that deeper understanding of consumer behavior gives you an edge in areas like brand strategy, communications, and even customer experience. We see graduates working in many sort of major global brands. I think Procter and Gamble, Nestle, Vodafone, agencies like WPP. But also smaller kind of businesses. And, many of our graduates also go on to set up their own businesses as well and, just venture into that kind of career. Yet others we see do some consultancy specialist kind of, roles. But what's also really interesting is that these roles exist on a really wide range of sectors. We see retail, we see tech, we see healthcare, we see finance. We even have some people who think, well, academia is kind of cool. I'm going to stay in academia. So there is quite a broad range of careers that our graduates have, ventured into. And what do I have next? I think next I have the entry requirements. Again, just like Nilay said, your best bet, to find out the most current entry requirements will be to go to the online prospectus. So do check out the requirements associated with English language because, it's taught in English, and also the degree requirements, and make sure that you submit well within the deadline. Which is also specified on the prospectus. So August, 1st of August if you're international, and 1st of September if you happen to be home students. Okay, so far we talked about the two courses separately, but there's a lot that the two courses have in common in terms of their, characteristics, and also in terms of the other things that come with studying an MSc degree at Sussex Business School. So one of the defining features of both courses, so both MSc Strategic Marketing, Nilay's course, and my course, MSc Marketing and Consumer Psychology, is that both courses have, a lot of emphasis on real world relevance without compromising academic depth and integrity. So we constantly try to connect theory with practice. So what you'll see that across modules, even in the most theory heavy ones, you'll be working with real world problems and current marketing issues. So things like sustainability and digital behavior, branding, changing consumer expectations. And there's also a very heavy emphasis on robust applied analytical skills. And this will be manifest differently, across different modules. So in some, this will mean exposure to the tools, methods, and practices used in industry. In others, it might mean analyzing published data sets or industry relevant information, for example. And whenever it makes sense to do so, assessments tend to mirror professional practice, or is inspired by professional practice in some way. For example, you might be developing a set of recommendations for brand strategy. You might be producing a consultancy style kind of report, or you might be working through data-driven marketing problems, right? So there is that kind of close connection with what practitioners get up to as well. And all of the things that we try to build into the programs in terms of real world relevance and industry embeddedness is reinforced through direct exposure to industry practice. One of the ways in which we do that is we regularly bring in guest speakers from across the field, alumni and professionals working in various kind of, jobs in marketing, insights, strategy. And here on the slide, you'll just see just a few examples of people that we've had in the past to give some really cool talks to our students. And of course, if you're staff, you just go to because they're really interesting. So effectively, real world relevance is sort of embedded through the courses, not kind of not an add-on. Even the dissertation you'll find actually reflects this. You'll be working on real consumer and marketing problems more often than not, often using real data sets or collecting your own data from participants with topics that are really grounded in genuine organizational and societal challenges, if those are the things that you are interested in. I think
Oh,
this is where I hand over to Nilay.
yes. And one another thing also, this is also for both of the programs. I would like to note that. And this is something new and I think will be very beneficial for our students. From the next year, we will have the guaranteed internships for each of our students. This is optional, not obligatory, but that's what we see from the last cohorts. They have a huge interest to have their internships, and they needed a really strong support from us to find the internships. That's why right now it's a big opportunity for our students from the next year. They will have the guaranteed internships if they would like to go for it. And even the options, we are going to provide them an online internship and also which will be quite flexible for students, and we also give guarantee them to fit their study timetables. And another option will be the student consultancy. In that one, the group of students will be together, is going to help a challenge, one of the challenge of the chosen organization had at that time, and it is from 4 weeks to 11 weeks, as far as I remember, the internship. Please double check from the website, but this is quite interesting and also one of the attractive option, I guess, for both programs right now we have for from the next year. Okay. And in order to boost your employability, this is also one of the most important thing actually we care and we put high importance on because as you are studying here, this is also quite important for you. And all the time we see that it is top of your mind actually, and how you can enhance your CVs and how what kind of opportunities you have, and also how you can improve your CV and your career opportunities. And that's why one of the roles also we try to do is to boost your employability. And good that we have a very dedicated careers and entrepreneurship team, and you will have a chance to book group or one-to-one information. um, that's one thing, and you will have a comprehensive guidance whenever you want. And another option also, opportunity also, we in most of our lecture modules we are inviting the guest speakers. That's also a big chance actually, as Pinar mentioned, and the real world relevance, and also kind of actually give you a chance to enhance your network and also help your employability as well. And if you get this chance, and another opportunity is also we are providing access to some relevant platforms that will be very useful for your employability, such as Student Circus, Luckin, and etc. And in both of the programs, another aspect we really put high importance on is the entrepreneurship. And some of our students, what we notice is that if they have some entrepreneurial ideas, very good projects in their minds, but they do not have a chance to make them real in order to due to the lack of sufficient resources and funding they had at that time. And what we do is we try our best to support them to initiate these business ideas. And in order to find, we help them in order to find the necessary funding options, and we encourage them to apply for some competitions to get this funding and also support their ideas by trying to find the necessary funding for their idea. And yes, And our support is also actually not ending when you graduate. That's important to note. And even after you graduate, after 3 years, you will have a chance to get support from our careers and entrepreneurship team. They are a very good team, and you will notice that. And they will be very helpful finding your place in the world of work. And but the thing is that I would like to emphasize a lot also, it also depends on you. You need to know. It's good that now you have a chance to see all these opportunities we have. But as a student, you also really need to exploit whatever you have in the school because there are a lot of, even not limited to these things that we mentioned here. You need to exploit each of the opportunity you have in the school and at the campus. And we also have some scholarship benefits. Please have a look at our website for this. But that could be very beneficial for you when you are applying. We have the Sussex Alumni Scholarship and country scholarships, chancellors, international scholarships, and climate leaders. Maybe some of them might fit to your situation right now. Good to check, I guess. And yeah, now from now on, and we have also limited time, I need to consider the time, but why we also, if you look at the school as a general rather than the program focus, and why you also need to study at the business school. And first of all, when you come to our campus, I'm sure that you will be impressed at first because we have a very green campus, and you will notice that. And our pink flowers, that's there right now. It's the springtime, and it's amazing. And another thing, when you enter into your classroom, the first thing that you will notice that as we celebrate in our events, our cultural diversity, you will notice that your classmates are from all around the world. That's a wonderful opportunity, actually. You will have a full international experience in your classroom, and also you will notice such an inclusive environment you will have at this school. And what we try to do is the interdisciplinary research, and especially in Pinar's program, you noticed it, and how they coordinate very well with the psychology as well. And also what we put high emphasis on is the innovative techniques to increase the impact on both policy, company policies, and governmental policies and research. And we are a top rank business school, eighth in the UK in marketing, and second in the UK for the career prospects and marketing. And we are also an accredited business school, which will be actually very helpful for you when you graduate because you will have a global recognition, and your diploma and the certificates will be recognized from all around the world. That's why it is important. And now I'm handing over to Pinar again.
Okay, audio, yeah, microphone back on. Okay, so Nilay already talked a little bit about the campus, the really cool flowers and the greenery. So, yeah, the campus is on the outskirts of Brighton in a little place called Falmouth, and it's actually within the South Downs National Park. I actually found out about this very recently that it is the only school in the UK, the only uni in the UK that sits in a national park, which I thought was kind of cool. So you've got this really unusual combination of countryside, coast a little bit further away, and campus all in one place. And those of you who are into their football, specifically, the Premier League, will be delighted to know that it's just the uni is just across the road from Amex Stadium, which is home to the local football team, Brighton Albion FC. So you can just, nip over to watch some football, in between all your hard work. So the campus kind of feels really green, very open, and you kind of get this really cool sense of space that you don't always get in more sort of city-based sort of settings. Much as I love city-based campuses where you can just snip out and do some shopping, you sometimes do miss that sort of sense of sort of space and which you will get in a campus like this. However, on the one hand, you get the space, but then you also have this sense of being really, really well connected. You got this. We have really good transport links, particularly by train. So just hop on the train, 10 minutes, you're in Brighton. Hop on the train, 30 minutes, you're in Gatwick Airport, which if you are international staff or if international students like you guys hopefully are going to be next year, it's an absolute godsend to have a major airport, just a 30 minutes train ride away. And if you just fancy the big smog, a day out in London, it's just an hour on train. So what you get really is this campus experience that just feels very focused, very immersive, but very easy access to a very lively coastal city, i.e. Brighton, international travel, well, hello Gatwick, and, London's professional and also cultural, let's face it, opportunities. It's in many ways, it's quite a unique kind of place to study. A little bit about student life. So accommodation, those of you who, want to be at the center of the action on campus. We have on-campus accommodation. Others might prefer a more kind of independent sort of life in the city, a little bit of separation from sort of studies, plenty of options in Brighton and other kind of nearby residential areas. Regardless of where you live, you'll find that there's a really vibrant social and food scene on campus. Tons of cafes, bars, restaurants throughout. Even for a picky eater like me, there's tons of options, to the point that I no longer bother bringing lunch with me. And there's also a weekly street food market, which adds obviously a sense of community, but, it also adds a bit more variety, as well to just day-to-day life, really. Those of you who are into your sports will find that, there are excellent sports facilities. There are 2 sports centres. There's gyms, there's courts, there's pitches, there's a range of fitness classes, for different levels of, experience. So if you're looking for something really kind of competitive, there is something for you. If you just want to, just to stay active, there's also there's also options for that. So, and beyond that, there are, student life really is shaped over by over 180 clubs and societies. There are clubs, related to academic stuff. There are clubs related to professional interests, sports, music, dance, cultural groups, you name it. There's genuinely something for everyone. And, those clubs are a really cool way to build friendships and networks outside of your course. And Nilay also touched upon, how the diversity of the international community was something that you will get from the business school, but that's also something that extends to the university as a whole. There's students and staff coming from over 170 countries, which is quite impressive, which really adds to the richness, to the experience that you'll get and the perspectives that you'll get exposed to. And importantly, there is strong student support throughout your time here. Nilay already talked about, support related to careers and so on. But there's also lots of guidance on academic progress, personal well-being, finances, as well as more sort of specialist support when needed. Things like, disabilities. Sometimes international students need a bit more kind of extra help and guidance. So there's specialists that are always present to help out with those things if needed. And finally, a little bit about Brighton and, what's so special about it. If you've kind of done a little bit of Googling, to find out what Brighton's like, you probably have seen that it is widely recognised as one of UK's most creative and innovative cities. In fact, it's been actually named the most creative city in the UK in a recent ranking, which kind of does, reflect its strength as a, hub for ideas, culture, and creative industries, which I'll get to in a bit. And when you kind of just come to the city, you sort of feel that it has a really sort of strong identity and a really vibrant cultural scene. There's always some festival or another going on. I guess that's one of the reasons why why it is such a popular destination for students and young professionals from all over the world, which kind of really adds, I guess, adds to the energy and diversity of the city. As far as day-to-day kind of life, I personally really appreciate it for being very walkable and, young person friendly. I'm not a student, but I'm kind of, feel quite young. So you got your really cool independent shops, independent cafes, in addition to all the usual sort of safe options that you might want from chains. You got lots of social spaces throughout. So it kind of makes it really easy to sort of feel settled and build your own, I guess, life, your own routines outside of your studies, because let's face it, there is life outside of studies. The environment itself is a big part of the city's appeal. So you've got the seaside, alongside the kind of the expansive, the vast green spaces nearby, which really, supports well-being and this sort of sense of balance, whether, that means taking a break from studying, staying active, or just having, I don't know, a little bit of space to think, right? But what makes Brighton really stand out from a marketing perspective? Let's face it, we are talking about, this webinar is about the 2 marketing degrees that we have at the school. So what makes Brighton really stand out for, in that sense is that it's a genuine active ecosystem of marketing and digital activity, and that's happening all year round. The city is home to many major digital and marketing agencies, but also, not just that, but also to like a wider professional community that actively connects people working in the sector. For example, there is Silicon Brighton that runs regular meetups and events that bring people together from across digital and tech industries, from startups to established agencies. And that's something that really encourages collaboration and knowledge sharing. And, from a student's perspective, it's something really, really inspiring as well. And on a global scale, the city hosts Brighton SEO, which is one of the largest search marketing conferences in the world. And it brings thousands of search engine optimization people, analytics people, digital marketing professionals into the city. You kind of see them walking around with their little lanyard. So in more ways than one, the city is effectively a living lab of marketing activity. And that's one of the things that makes it a really good place to do a postgraduate degree in marketing. So now that Nilay and I have, talked possibly a bit too much, let's just give the floor to our alumni and current sort of students. Who's next? Okay, so Nilay, maybe we were going to have an alumni from my course, Marketing and Consumer Psychology. Unfortunately, that didn't go ahead due to some very, very last minute, issues with availability. So we do have Megan, but maybe Nilay will do a much better job of introducing her than I can.
Hello,
Okay.
everyone.
And I would like to introduce Megan Bond to you, everyone. And Megan is one of our alumni, graduate, and she's now working at Bird and Blend Tea Company. If you have a chance to come up to Brighton, you will definitely go to this tea company. That is actually one of my favorite as well. Even before Megan works there. Right now she's working there and really excited to hear her insights and how she is and how her experience was at Sussex. Megan, the floor is yours.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm very excited to be here. I am going to speak very positively about the course because I just found it transformative. A little bit about me. My background was actually in education. So I was a primary school teacher for 10 years, and then I used the course of strategic marketing to transfer into a marketing role. And I would honestly say it was what enabled me to make that move. So what stood out the most about the course to me was the variety of modules. It really did cover everything from marketing analytics being quite scientific. We learned to code. We had a module called design thinking as well, which I personally loved. It was very creative, and it kind of encouraged us to think outside the box. Something else that stood out was just the passion and enthusiasm of all of the professors. I still think about on like almost a daily basis at work, things that they've said, and apply it to my own role. And then I think Nilay's already covered this, but actually studying at Sussex, it's brilliant. It's got a welcoming small town feel. The diversity is incredible. And in my year, I met people from all over the world and learned so much about different cultures. So yeah, I think those are the things that stood out the most to me. Something that I worked on that I felt was particularly relevant to the real world was in our marketing strategy module, which I've seen is in the second semester. We did a learning simulation. So we were put into small groups, and this was like a long-term project that lasted 8 to 10 weeks. And it was basically a digital simulation where you were responsible for a company and its marketing strategy. And each week there was a focus on an element of the marketing mix. So, for example, one week we'd focus on price point. We would get together as a team, we'd discuss the strategy and input it into the simulation. And then a few days later, the simulation would decide how we'd performed, how our company was doing, and I thought it was really brilliant, especially for somebody like me whose background was so different to marketing, just to be able to go in and actually feel like I was participating in something that was real life, and it was great for teamwork and great for strategic thinking. So how has the course influenced what I'm doing now? Firstly and fundamentally, I felt it enabled me to get a job. It is a challenging job market, and I did try to jump straight from teaching into marketing without a course, and didn't have much luck. I think that actually doing this course showed that I was serious and enthusiastic enough to learn. And I think Bird and Blend Tea Company is a local business that was born in Brighton, and they know what the value of a master's degree from Sussex holds. And so that really did enable me to get a job pretty much straight away after finishing the course. And I think also one of my main responsibilities in my role is delivering comms to customers and generating customer insights. There were several modules that linked to this, so buyer behaviour, and I also did an elective called Contemporary Consumer Research. That was really useful. And as tricky as I personally found it, marketing analytics was just absolutely amazing. And if you have the chance to choose that, yeah, it's really, really brilliant. And I think also across the board digital skills, which we learn in modules, but also the university provides so many opportunities to really up level your own skills, and just working with other students. I learned so much from them as well. The course, like, again, it's just been absolutely fundamental to where I am now. The advice that I would give to someone considering studying the course, if you're unsure, something that I did was I printed off all of the courses I was interested in, from Sussex and other universities as well, and I went through each module and gave it a rating out of 5 on how much I thought it would interest me or be useful to me, and that did really help, kind of adding up the points and going, oh, that one looks really good, and I obviously ended up making the perfect choice, I felt. And I think some more advice I would give if you're unsure is just to follow all of the social medias, and to also attend lots of virtual events. You're obviously here. This is a brilliant starting point. But I think the main advice that I would give you is do it. This course has opened so many doors for me. And if you do choose to do one of the two amazing courses that have been mentioned today, prepare to grab every opportunity. There really are a lot of different opportunities you can take at Sussex. I'm so thrilled, Nilay, about the internships, because that's new, and I think that is really, really excellent. But the course is absolutely what you make it. So grab every opportunity that you can.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Megan. Really, it was so valuable actually for our prospective students to hear from our alumni how you see also, because we tell, but it is so valuable also to hear how you experience all the modules. Even I didn't mention, I forgot to mention about the simulation and other each type of our modules. We have different applications and thank you so much for sharing your information, insights, experience, and that was so wonderful to have you here as a guest speaker today. Thank you so much. And now I would, yeah, maybe Pinar, you can.
Okay, so I mean, honestly, I'm just starting to think that maybe we should just got the, Megan and, our two current students just do the whole presentation because they probably did a much better job than we did. So now we have two of our current students, and they both actually happen to be student reps. So we have Amir from Marketing and Consumer Psychology, and we have Asif from Strategic Marketing. So yeah, so maybe, I mean, would you like to start? Or maybe you guys just want to fight out the order, but you know.
Right, I'd love to go first.
Okay.
Yeah, hi, I'm Mohammed Ahmed Junawala. I also go with the name Elena. And yeah, been here for 7 months in the in the marketing consumer psychology course, and it's been lovely. I don't have much time to speak about it. If I could, I would have gone on for hours about it. But all right, let's just firstly start with how I got here in the first place. So I think Pinar mentioned that there's very few courses that look at the consumer psychology side of things and like balance it out very well. I generally think this was the only one when I went to see it because no one else could balance this. No one had that 50-50 kind of approach. Other universities usually saw it like, oh, it's an addition, you have one module on it or two. This is the only one we genuinely have 50-50. So the module is split between, as she said, the business school and the school of psychology. And this is something that's, I think, the most important thing for me. You get insights from both sides and they actually interlink really well. So, like, if you go and see what kind of modules are offered, it's not just that, oh, this is a separate thing, like social psychology and digital marketing are not related. They are, and they gel together very well. The concepts flow very well from one thing to the other. So that's something that was really important for me. As I study right now, the most important thing and the thing that I'm most enjoying is the deeper insights that I'm getting into consumer minds. You start analyzing your own behavior, your own purchases, why are you doing this? And you realize that a lot of what you do is kind of pre-programmed in your head and how people can kind of influence that. And it's really fun to see that actually play out in real life in your own head. And then probably after you graduate, you'll be able to do it for others as well. Yeah, along with that, I think the most important thing when I chose this university and that I'm actually playing out right now is the dissertation or the research project. You have a chance to do both a consumer psychology project or a marketing project, and you can take the marketing side or the psychology side. Both are amazing. For me, I was more focused on the like behavior and why it happens, the reasoning, the correlations. So I have chosen the psychology side, and so far it's been lovely. It's been an absolutely amazing experience going through different kinds of methods, having people from the School of Psychology back you, supervisors who are experts in their field. So yeah, that's something that I've really enjoyed. Also, something that's happened recently. So Sussex is very well known. It's a well-recognized university. This master's basically is a sort of specialization into the field of consumer psychology. And because of that, a couple of days ago, I actually got a PhD acceptance because of all of this. Yes. So I think Sussex had a huge role to play in it. But more importantly, what Sussex gave me was mentors and people who are professors, but even outside the classroom are willing to talk to you. They're willing to discuss things that are not fully related to what they're teaching. They're willing to give you advice. And as a student rep, another thing that they're willing to do is take feedback very well. So it is a course that changes according to you. If you feel like something isn't working for you, they will listen to you and they will make those changes. So yeah, you are heard in this university, which I think as a student rep, I find something that's very important. But yeah, overall, it's been a lovely time, and yeah, consumer psychology that makes you see the world in a different way, honestly. And I also uh, do a part-time job as a digital marketer, and literally what I learn in the morning is what I apply in the evening. It's like we learn things like scarcity and commitment in marketing and how you can use that to perhaps get a better response from consumers. And then in the evening, when I'm drafting an email campaign, I'm using those things directly in that email campaign and I get better responses in the morning. So it's, yeah, that's genuinely what it is. It's focused on business. It has the academic side of things. It gives you a freedom to do your own research. And yeah, yeah, I think that's all that I have to say. Honestly, if I went on, I could go on forever. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
Thank you and congratulations. I knew that you were applying, but I didn't know that the acceptance had already come through. So yay, well done you.
Thank
Excellent. Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you. Asif, would you like to go next?
Yes, thank you, everyone. It's great to be here and to be able to share a bit about how I chose this course and how the experience has been. So I did my undergrad in economics, and upon my undergrad, I joined our family business, which was essentially a manufacturing firm for a global B2B. And uh, upon upon joining, my aim was to uh, have further lead generations in different parts of the world, buyers from different parts of the world, and also build a local brand in Bangladesh. Um, I did have some success in building and marketing our local brand, but not so much in the B2B global side of it. So I understood that there was something missing. And in retrospect now, I understand that what worked for me in building uh, the local brand it was essentially content strategy, which I understood at that time was marketing strategy. So when I was choosing my courses, I definitely wanted the course to have modules such as global marketing and brand building, and definitely it needed to have buyer behavior, which is in fact very important because you cannot have marketing strategy without understanding how your buyers or your consumers behave or how they make decisions. And other than that, brand building was, as I mentioned, very important. So, and that is why I basically chose strategic marketing. In fact, I am a very big proponent of marketing, the psychology aspect of it. It is definitely very important. Uh, all right. So, however, upon uh, final considerations, the global marketing module and the B2B marketing option for me to choose was actually the one that got me to choose this course. Now, how has the experience been so far? Well, I have to mention our design thinking module, which I would definitely say rewires your brain to some extent. It makes you look at things from a very, very different perspective. And we go over concepts such as jobs to be done, where where you understand that your buyers or consumers don't just buy your product or service, they actually hire it to do a job. And that completely rewires your brain and how you provide value. I'm also a big admirer of our marketing strategy professor, Sam, and his philosophy, in fact, towards marketing. He often compares marketing strategy to military strategy. And I believe that's a very fun way to look at it, especially with competitive pressure, whatnot. Also a big admirer of our brand building professor, Mike. He has a very fun approach to brand building. Uh, and yeah, and also upon we're almost near the end of our second semester. And in regard to careers and whatnot, I really do feel very confident in myself as a marketer. I feel like this marketing strategy course has really given me a comprehensive and holistic approach toward marketing with modules such as B2B marketing and global marketing and data-driven marketing through advanced marketing analytics. I really do feel I am applying for some jobs. I may also go back to take over the business back in my home country, but I would really like to have some experience here for maybe a year or two. Yeah, it really does make me feel confident in myself as a marketer. And maybe a final word, it could be that you see a lot of influencers and maybe some thought leaders on Instagram content or YouTube content advocating for different fragmented outlook towards marketing. But once you do this MSc strategic marketing course, you really understand that a lot of it is fragmented, but marketing is so much very contextual, and there's a lot of critical judgment to it. And that is something that all our modules in this course really instill in us to make critical judgments. And also given in this age of AI, where all the answers are supposedly there, emphasis on supposedly, it's very important to ask the right questions. And that's one thing this MSc in strategic marketing instilled in me as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to our student reps as well. We talk a lot, but I also think like Pinar that it would be better if you talk more actually, and because you are also didn't complete yet and your program even, but it is wonderful to hear such kind of confidence even right now you feel, and it also shows that um, such a valuable experience you have at that moment. And thank you so much for your all participation and your willingness to share your experience. That was so valuable, I'm sure, for all the participants we have here today. And Pinar,
Yeah, I think we're done. I'm just looking at Ben to sort of find out if, yeah, okay, so this is Ben's slide.
Yeah, hi. Thank you. I echo those thoughts. It was fantastic and really nice to hear from current and previous students. We have got to the hour mark, but I think we can hang on for a couple of minutes if anyone has any questions. Do type them in. I have had one which has come through to me around active researchers. So let me just read the question. So you mentioned that active researchers are teaching on the courses. And what sort of areas are they working on, and what do they bring into the classes? I guess that's for our course directors.
Well, I mean, active researchers off the top of my head, the person I can immediately think of is Mike, who, well, Asif also just mentioned, branding. He is basically the guy who kind of made brand authenticity what it is in marketing literature, and he still actively kind of researches on that. He does kind of teach. His approach to branding is very much informed by his research. He also does a lot of other kind of things in sort of areas, ranging from analog to consumer work, to all of those kind of things, which also kind of add a new layer to kind of a unique twist to his teaching on branding. And is it Maria who teaches B2B in strategic marketing?
yeah,
Yeah,
Maria.
so Maria is basically like, her research is B2B. So that kind of close connection with the staff's research interests and research activity and their teaching also means that what they teach is also kind of constantly kind of updated, because if you are publishing, you've got to be on top of things as far as where literature is going. So those are just two very sort of quick examples of, that link between teaching and research.
Thank you. Megan, there was a question for you. You came in from a different background. How did you find the teaching coming from a non-marketing background?
I found it very clear. It was absolutely fine. I did worry initially that I was going to be out of my depth, but it was perfectly tailored. And as I said, all of the professors were really supportive.
Perfect. Thank you. I can't see any more questions. As I say, we've gone past the hour mark. If people do have questions, my email address is in the chat. And as I said, you'll get the recording sent to you tomorrow through Zoom. You can always email me directly with any general questions, or if you want me to put you in touch with anyone who's spoken today, I can always get in touch with them for you and relay any more questions on. I know what it's like. Sometimes you might think of a question tomorrow or in 3 weeks' time. So please do reach out to me, and I'm happy to do that.
Ben, a quick question
Yep.
for me. You've posted a bunch of really useful links on the chat.
Yep.
When the recording is sent to participants or people who signed up, will they still be able to see those links in the chat?
Yes, they will. They'll be
Okay,
able to see
perfect.
them. And I can also put them in the email that goes out with the recording. So I'll pop in
That would
those
be
links.
really cool in case people miss them, or maybe if they're just watching the recording from their tablet or something. Sometimes you don't see everything, so that'd be really awesome.
Absolutely. I will copy those into the message that goes out tomorrow with the recording. And yeah, if people have any questions on any of those things, applying scholarships, I can answer those separately to this session. Okay, and if anyone's got anything else to add, otherwise we'll end the session.
I think we're done.
I think so, yes. And hope that it will be helpful for everyone. But thank you so much for our guest speakers once again for sharing your experience and being with us today. And thank you all then.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.